Alex Hormozi's $100 million leads absolutely changed the game. Information on how to generate leads is now completely free, and anyone can generate hundreds or thousands of leads for their business at will. But does that mean that lead generation agencies are dead? In this video, we are going to see what Alex Hormozi has to say about lead generation agencies and talk about whether you should start one in the year 2024. And obviously, this is a really close topic for me because I have worked with over 250 lead generation agencies, and I scaled my own lead generation agency from $0 to $40,000 a month in 6 months, which obviously changed my whole life. And all of this stuff, by the way, is from Alex Hormozi's lead generation course. We are going to be going through that and seeing what he says about running a lead generation agency. So first thing we are going to cover is the actual problem of lead generation. He puts it on really well, and I think this is like the main thing when building a lead generation agency, because obviously if you want to make tons of money with your own business, you need to be solving a really painful problem. And if you're running a lead generation agency, obviously you're solving the problem of lead generation.
So right now, the problem is for most businesses, you're not getting as many leads as you want because you're not advertising enough.
This is extremely true. There was a study made by HubSpot, a huge company, that around 63% of B2B businesses only in the United States struggle with lead generation. That's their biggest problem and biggest pain. Every single time for B2B business owners, the biggest problem they have is lead generation.
If you're not getting as many sales, you're not making as much money as you want, it's simply because you're not getting as many opportunities as you want to have. Like, you need more at bats.
That is also extremely true. A lot of people, when they think about their own business, they think that the problem is their sales process or their product or their offer or their pricing or what their competitor is doing or how is the economy looking or the trends in the market or new technologies. Like, there's a million things, and obviously all of those things are extremely important. But still, to this date, the easiest way to increase the revenue of a business is to get more leads. Because right now, if you're getting 5 leads a month and 5 calls booked in the calendar a month, and you're struggling with sales and they're closing one of those or maybe none of those a month, obviously it won't really make a huge difference if they improve their closing rate a bit. If you have 5 leads a month coming in, if you increase your closing rate by 10%, it's not really going to make a difference. Or even if you optimize your price a bit or whatever it might be, it's not really going to make a difference. But what if instead of getting 5 leads a month, you're getting 15 or 20 leads a month without changing the closing rate, without changing the pricing, without changing anything, you're going to immediately triple or quadruple the revenue of the business. And also the second-hand effects of generating more leads are even bigger than you would think. When you get more leads, you're able to take on better clients because you don't have to be desperate. You're able to increase your prices because there's more demand for your services. You get more feedback on your actual offer and your sales process. You're able to optimize your product. You're able to optimize your marketing. You're able to optimize your sales process, all of these things. And when you have more leads coming in, you're able to make more money. So you're able to build a better company.
So fundamentally, if you were able to get more leads for less money, that were higher quality, and you could get them from lots of different places so you never needed to worry about one of them going away, would that make you feel better in your business? If so, that's what we're covering.
And when you think about it from the lead generation agency perspective, that's how I really like to always think about it. Okay, what does this mean for a B2B lead generation agency? A lot of B2B businesses, they probably are already getting leads through some kind of a channel. Maybe they're doing ads, maybe they're doing referrals, maybe they're doing networking, whatever they might be doing. Lead generation agency are able to offer them another source to get leads and get them more leads. And in a lot of cases, also get them cheaper leads compared to, for example, paying Facebook ads for those leads. You're gonna be extremely golden as a service provider because you're making the business more safe, more stable, and the business is less stressful to run when you're providing a service that achieves all of these things.
When all else is being equal, when you double your leads, you double your business. If you 10x your leads, you 10x your business.
This is also the reason why I really love the lead generation agency business model is if everything else stays the same in a business and you just get them more leads, they will always make more money. A lot of things, like if you are helping them with automations and AI chatbots or Facebook advertising, whatever it might be, sometimes there are a lot of different variables that you have to take into consideration on how much it affects your actual client's business as an agency. But with lead generation, when you just deliver them more leads, it's extremely simple. We gave you 10 new leads this month. You paid us $2,000 for it. And from those 10 leads, you got 2 new customers who each paid you $10,000. We delivered you 10x the ROI that you were paying us.
And so a lead, very simply put, is a person that you can contact. That's it. That's all it is. And that's when I realized that I actually didn't want leads. I wanted something else. I didn't want to just be able to contact them. I wanted them to be interested in buying my stuff.
There's a lot of service providers and a lot of different marketing techniques and strategies that get you a lot of leads. If you think about it from the perspective, once again, you're a lead generation agency owner and your clients want to make more money, instead of just delivering them more people who they can contact, it's better to go one step further and deliver them people who are interested in actually buying their stuff. This way, they will have to spend less time on actually nurturing the leads, qualifying them, etc., and they can just spend more more time on making money and actually selling to those leads, which of course means that your service is more valuable and you can make more money in exchange.
And so what I really wanted were engaged leads. So people who show interest in the stuff you sell. So somebody I could contact who also has shown interest in the stuff I sell is an engaged lead. And ultimately, that is what the output of advertising is. That is what we are after. The leads showing interest are the leads that matter. That's what we're after. Engaged leads are the true output of advertising.
What I noticed myself when I started running my own lead gen agency is there was some similar service providers in the market, similar agencies. Yeah, we'll get you more leads, but then I was looking at what they were doing and they were helping companies run Facebook ads that would get them opt-ins, or they would scrape them different email addresses. And yeah, that is once again great, but really at that point when you're doing that, you're just helping them out with the first thing. So what I thought to do with my lead gen agency and what I have helped over 250 lead gen agencies now do is deliver actually interested people who have booked a call with the companies. So instead of delivering my lead gen agency clients just contact information that they can reach out to, I deliver them a booked call with a person who is interested in their service. And you might think, damn, that is so much extra work to do, but that's actually false. The process is still extremely simple. So let's say you have client X. Client X sells new websites. They are a web designer and they want to work with startup companies. What you would do is you would send an email in behalf of client X to a startup company and say, hey, Mr. Startup Company, I would like to make you a new website. Are you interested in this? And then the startup company would say, yeah, sure, I'm interested. Sounds good. We have been needing a new website. Then what you would do is you would schedule in a call with the startup company and with company X. So, okay, perfect. So let's have a 30-minute call next Tuesday at 10 a.m. at Eastern time. Are you up for that? And then the startup company would say, yes, of course. And then would book the meeting between the startup company and with your client, company X, and they would have the meeting together on Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. And this way, your client who is paying you for this lead generation service doesn't have to do that much work. They just show up to the meeting, they just sell their web design service. And of course, yeah, it's more work for you, but because your service is so much more valuable, you can charge way more. And in my opinion, the reason why that works so well is what Alex just mentioned. People don't just want leads, they want leads who actually are interested in buying the service, because it's going to take so much less of your time, because it's going to be such an easier thing to manage for a company business owner. And that's also the perfect thing when running a lead generation agency. You can charge per a call booked or per a warm lead generated. Hopping on to his next video on cold outreach playbook. So this is his video that he has actually made on cold email specifically, or cold outreach specifically. And just one really interesting thing is if you go to Alex's site, you're able to see he has cold outreach scripts here as a PDF that looks like this. I could bet a lot of money that when you scroll into the actual cold email scripts section of this PDF, that this is not the cold email scripts that he runs. Or actually, I wouldn't really even need to bet, because I already know that is the fact. I know what kind of scripts they actually run for at least Gym Launch. At least the ones that I have seen, they don't look like this, because this is, to be completely honest with you, a terrible cold email script. Alex is an absolute marketing genius, a million times smarter than me and more experienced. But I can guarantee you that this is not a good script. It's way too long. It has a booking link here, affects deliverability. It's a bad CTA. It has a double CTA. It has a big list of case studies here. It's just not a good cold email.
So if you can figure out a way to contact somebody one-to-one, you can use it for cold outreach. So you can knock on 100 doors, make 100 phone calls, you can send 100 direct messages, you can send 100 voicemails, and it worked 100 years ago, it works today, and when the platforms change, it will work tomorrow.
That is also the reason why I love cold email and cold outreach in general, because it's not dependent on a platform like a lot of other marketing channels are. For example, Facebook advertising. Facebook advertising is great, but the problem is that there's a lot of algo changes that you need to take into consideration. Back in the day when iOS 14 came up and wiped everything out, like there's a lot of things that really are dependent on the platform. When really doing cold outreach, when you're good at cold outreach, it doesn't really matter what happens, because the fundamentals will always make sure that you make money. Like the same fundamentals that I used when I was knocking doors were the same fundamentals that I used when I was selling in shopping malls, or when I was building my first call center, or when I was building my lead gen agency, or when I'm helping our clients right now build lead gen agencies, or when I'm doing cold email advertising for other companies. Like the fundamentals throughout my career of doing cold outreach, which has been like 8-9 years maybe in total, have always stayed the same. It doesn't really matter if people suddenly stop using a specific platform. You can take the same cold outreach principles and fundamentals and transfer them to another platform, to email, to direct mail, knocking doors to calling on the phone. Same fundamentals have stayed the same for that whole period, and they will always stay, because it's not based on how a platform works or functions. It's based on why people get interested in stuff and why people buy.
But how do I contact them? The simple answer is you build a list. And there's 3 ways to build a list. You can scrape them, you can buy them, you can look for them. Scrape them means you're using softwares. You want to subscribe, in my opinion, to as many of these softwares as you can. Search them all based on your criteria of the type of customer you're looking for. Then try out a representative sample, say a few hundred from each of the software that you use. And if the contact information is up to date and the leads are responsive and they are the type of person the software claims them to be, then bingo. Buy more.
And also the funny thing about this is scraping softwares. Obviously, absolutely the best way to scrape lists. Most of the scraping softwares out there on the internet, they all share the same database. Some of them have it more up to date. If you look at all the big ones, ZoomInfo, Apollo, LinkedIn, pretty much all of them come from the same place. So rarely there are big differences. Of course, when there's like niche specific software scrapers like for Web3 or e-commerce or whatever, there might be differences. But for generally, all the B2B lead scrapers are pretty much the same. I really like using Apollo. Clutch also works really well, but it's bit more difficult to scrape. So you only really need 1 or 2 softwares max, depending on what kind of niche you are in. And almost for every single niche, if you start out with Apollo.io, it's going to give you everything that you need to get started out with.
The second way, and I've used these too, is brokers. So just like you can have people who buy and sell anything, there's people who buy and sell lists. They're list brokers. Just go to many of them and ask them to make you a list. And most of them will give you a sample list. Now, sometimes list brokers can be even more nuanced than software can be because that's their whole business. Sometimes they can't. It really depends on the quality of the broker, just like anything else.
I really like using list brokers in cases where generating the list takes a lot of manual work. For example, when reaching out to startups, there's a lot of other information that you would like to have about the startup, like who has funded them, how much funding they got, what was their latest funding round, in what vertical are they in, have they attended any events. And there are brokers on the internet who spend all of their days compiling this information every single week or every single month based on what kind of a package you get. Also with list brokers, something that you want to take into consideration is sometimes the list brokers, especially the like really low priced ones, they have one list and they sell that same list to everyone. So if they're a really popular list broker, they might have one list of e-commerce stores and they sell it to 1,000 people in a span of 3 months or 100 people in a span of 3 months. And what that really does is you're reaching out to the same list that everyone else is reaching out to, which usually isn't the best thing to do. But obviously, because the list is really cheap, it usually doesn't matter that much. It's still worth doing it. I actually have worked with one list broker company or one list broker team for over 2 years now. And we also brought them in-house because they had a really, really good service. They were doing pretty much everything manually by hand, scraping these lists. I would tell them, okay, I want this really specific list of leads. I want to get their head of marketing information, their emails, their phone numbers. And they would spend like 3-4 days building me a huge list of these companies. So they were really, really high quality. So list brokers are really good. But in my opinion, if you're just starting out as a lead generation agency or just as a B2B company, it's better to first start out with the software and then go to list brokers, because the brokers, usually at least the good quality ones, are for sure more expensive.
Here's how you personalize. You act like you know them. So the idea is to make the cold outreach feel like a warm outreach. The best way to do this is to actually know something about the person you're contacting. Personalization in your outreach attempt, whether it's phone calls, cold emails, cold DMs, whatever, gets your foot in the door to get the sale.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it really helps you with cold outreach when doing it. Like you can either do like really basic first line personalization in your cold email, or you can use like AI generated first lines for personalization, or you can even go to like great extents using complicated software that like matches GPT-4 and like different databases and creates like really complicated personalization. But after really sending and managing like tens of millions of emails, I have to say that personalization is more like a steroid. A lot of people think that personalization is necessary to make cold outreach work, and that's like holding them back. They might be sending out a cold email campaign to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 people, and they don't get results. In a lot of cases, if your cold outreach isn't working, it is because you don't really know your audience. You don't know how you need to talk to them to actually get them interested, or you are not actually selling something that they're compelled to buy or get interested in.
We're not trying to tickle their interest. We're trying to blow their minds in under 30 seconds with the value that we're going to provide them. That's where your lead magnet comes in. That's why it was the first thing we talked about. You need to make your lead magnet exceptional. I just want to emphasize the fact that it's not like, oh, here's my thing. Make your thing exceptional and make it insane so that they will want to listen more.
Alex mentioned lead magnets to help combat the fact that people don't really trust you in the beginning. And yeah, I think it can be like extremely valuable in a lot of cases, but sometimes we have seen that it's not necessary. We have A/B tested it multiple times. And I think it's more depends on the market that you are in and what you're selling to the market. Like when you are in a market where there's a lot of competition, the market is really sophisticated, sophisticated, they're really aware, they have already heard a bunch of claims, they've probably been burned through different service providers. That's really where the case where you want to really provide lead magnets for them. But then when you're in markets that are less sophisticated, they probably haven't heard about your mechanism and your offer before. That's really, in my opinion, using a lead magnet there is just adding friction to the process. Because if you think about it, if someone has never heard of you and you send them a crazy lead magnet, chances of them actually like going through it and looking at it and reading through it or consuming it fully or using the lead magnet you provided are fairly slim because they don't trust you at all. What works better is just pretty much having the least amount of friction possible to get them to engage with you, and then either pushing them to a call or providing them a short snippet of a lead magnet, a quick 3-minute personalized video, a quick sales letter that is actually really valuable. Sometimes you can just push them straight into a call. If the market is not quote unquote saturated or there are really low awareness, really low sophistication, you really have something unique and cool, I don't like adding friction to it. I just try to get them on a call immediately. Hey John, would it make sense to explore this a bit further? But if there's more competition, if the competition is more fierce, there's a lot of claims in the market and you really need to show that you are unique and you really know what you're doing, then providing a lead magnet with really good results inside, really good case studies inside of it, really good explanation, like just a lot of value, I think it gives a lot of amazing value, like Alex said.
Fundamentally, all it is going to be number of people reached out to times response rate equals output. And so you can move either of these. You can go way more volume and have automated and get a fraction of people to respond, but you put enough N in the amount that you get a big output, or you get a high percentage of people respond. The ideal is that you do both.
I agree.
And by the way, if you have a small audience that you're going after or a small number of leads, then I would say personalize to the greatest degree possible, because those probably cost you a lot of time and effort to get, and I wouldn't want to burn through them.
100% agree with that as well. If you are doing cold outreach for a market, let's say 500 people are in the total addressable market, 500 people you can sell to, there's really no point in going with like a really mass automated route. Like even if you can personalize it at scale, I think it's better for you to just like really dial in on every single lead, do like really in-depth focus on them and just go the extra mile, because you only have the 500 leads that you can only sell to. But otherwise, a lot of people are worried about burning leads. Like, I only have 5,000 people in my niche. Like, yeah, you can reach out to 2,000 a month. That takes you 2.5 months. You'll probably get a bunch of clients. You can focus on service delivery. Then you can reach out to those same people again after a few months. And the chance of them actually remembering that you emailed them a few months ago are pretty much zero, maybe 0.1%. Someone will remember. Also, one thing about the personalization, nowadays with GPT-4 and different tools being extremely advanced, I would argue that you can have the exact same level of personalization automated than you could have without automating it. It's for sure, it's more expensive and time consuming. You need to understand how they actually built the machine, and you need to have a well-working offer in the base of it. But when you have a well-working campaign, really understand cold email and cold outreach and everything, you can pretty much have the exact same level of personalization by automating the whole thing.
And so generally speaking, you sacrifice personalization for scale. You get a higher response rate with personalized messages, and so the fewer you have, the less automation you should use, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100% agree. The fewer leads you have, if you have under 500, you shouldn't really use any automation. Nowadays, you won't really lose that much personalization for scale, at least in the context of doing cold email. At least yet, I haven't seen an AI bot writing handwritten letters. Probably will happen in the future, but if you're doing cold email, you can do the same volume and with the same personalization, doesn't really matter. And also the great thing, because you're able to automate cold email to that extent, is you are able to, as a cold email agency, you can have 5 clients and you can just rip all of them really good results, and it only takes you a few hours a day to manage those clients. Back in the day when you did all of the automations, like if you were doing lead generation for a B2B company, you can only really have 1 or 2 clients. It would pretty much be like a job. But now you can have like 10, 20, 30. I know people who have like over 80 clients for their lead generation agency, because it's just so automated and so systemized from start to finish that you're still able to manage a crazy amount of clients and get paid for all of those clients, and you don't really have to sacrifice the results you're delivering them.
This is actually a screenshot from one of our portfolio companies. Here's the emails per day. We got 30% open rate and 10% that opens reply. Pretty good. You can get good at this stuff, and this company is very good at it.
And like really interesting here is, yeah, 100 personalized emails per day, really dope. And I know these guys for sure know what they're doing, but 30% open rate, extremely low. We are really used to getting like 60 to 75%. 10% opens or for replies. That's pretty fine, to be honest. The big mistake a lot of people make is they see Alex Hormozi, for example, talking about, okay, 60,000 emails a month, and they immediately try to replicate that, which of course, like running a system and running a campaign that big, it adds a lot of complexity, because there's deliverability, lead scraping, inbox management, all of these things that you need to take into consideration. So you shouldn't try to start out with 60,000 emails a month, but it's something where you should aim at. If you really think about it, let's say that you are a lead generation agency and you have a client that, for example, sells marketing services for $15,000 or $20,000. And let's say you're charging them $500 per a call booked. Not just an interest reply, but actually $500 per call that gets booked into their calendar and shows up to the meeting. Let's say that you're sending 15,000 emails a month, which is a lot for sure, but we have seen it's done over and over and over again. So you're sending 15,000 emails. This usually means that you're reaching out to around 5,000 unique leads a month, and you are following up with them. On average, once again, it might be 6,000 unique leads and you follow up with some of them more and less, etc. But usually this means that you're reaching out to about 5,000 unique companies in a month, and then you are following up for the rest of the 10,000 emails. And imagine if you get 50% of them to open an email, which in my opinion, it's below the average, at least what we are seeing. So you get 2,500 companies opening your email. And then let's say that only 10% of those people are actually interested in what you are offering. So this would mean that you have 250 people who are interested in your client's service. You get 250 people interested in your client's marketing service in a month. Boom, that's great. But remember, we are not delivering interested leads, we're actually delivering booked calls. We need to take these leads one step further and we need to actually get them to book a call. Let's say that you only get 10% of these people to actually schedule in a meeting and show up. That would mean that you would get 25 booked meetings a month for your clients. So you would get 25 calls in their client's calendar that actually show up and come to the call. Like imagine you reach out to 5,000 people, you follow up with each of them twice. You send 3 emails to 5,000 people. 50% of those people open the message and 10% of those people are like, okay, this sounds interesting. And then from 10%, only 10% of those people, they are interested enough. I'll give you 15 minutes, I'll give you 30 minutes to hop on a call, explain me what you do. At the price of $500 per call means that you would be making 12.5K a month from this client by sending emails. And this whole process can be fully automated. Like sending these emails, sending these follow-ups can be automated. The only thing you really need to do is talk with the people who give you a positive reply and get them to book a call. And everything else is handled for you. So to summarize, based on what we just learned, is if you want to run a successful cold email lead generation agency in the year of 2024 or at the end of 2023, you need to focus on giving big and fast value, like Alex said, and understand how to personalize and automate your cold email outreach at scale. Figuring out how you can actually scale it really fast, figuring out how you can scale it to high volumes, and you are able to deliver a lot of value to your clients and get paid a lot of money. And obviously, when you're running a B2B lead gen agency, because of how the business model works, you're able to make a lot of money at really high profit margins because it's service-based. It doesn't really require that much of your time to do, and you can run it from anywhere in the world. And at least those things are extremely important for me when thinking about, okay, is this a business model that I want to invest my time and commitment into? So obviously, if that's something that you want to learn, just click this video over here on the screen. If you want to learn how to make $75,000 a month in profit by running a lead generation agency, we have helped over 250 people scale their B2B lead gen agencies to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $60,000 a month. I've done it myself. So this video pretty much holds all the sauce inside of it. So make sure that you click that video, unless you of course hate making money. Thank you for watching. Drop me a like, drop me a subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.